What's the best whitetail caliber? Today's show, we're going to talk about the best, what I think are my top 5 picks of the best whitetail calibers as far as rifles go. Welcome back to Big Buck Shock, where our goal is to help you become a better and more successful deer hunter. What are the characteristics of a good whitetail round? A lot of it depends on you. A lot of it depends on what type of hunting you do, where you hunt, how you hunt, how big you are, how small you are, and how comfortable you are shooting different rifles and bigger, smaller calibers and cartridges. So the characteristics of a good deer rifle, at least in my opinion, are that they've got to be flat shooting, they've got to be hard hitting, they've got to be manageable, the recoil has to be manageable, and the ammo has to be affordable and readily available. So as long as those 5 things are covered, I think that there are plenty of choices when it comes to good whitetail rounds, and the options are almost unlimited nowadays, especially with all the Wildcat cartridges and all the different cartridges that they're making every day. It seems like there's more and more coming out all the time. But I think that being able to find your ammo, I think that being able to sight your gun in at 100 yards zero and have it be effective out to 200-300 yards or even 4, I think that those are very almost requirements of a good deer hunting round, and as well as hard hitting and being able to shoot it. You know, if it's a bear to shoot, it's uncomfortable, it beats you up, kicks your shoulder like a mule, you're not going to want to shoot it, or you're going to flinch and that's going to affect your accuracy. So I think that those things really are really important when it comes to picking caliber and picking a rifle and being able to effectively use it to kill the deer that you're chasing. So there's a few things that affect the choice of the caliber or cartridge that you decide on. There's a few environmental factors that really affect things, and first and foremost is your hunting areas. If you're hunting in open places, Kansas, even up here in Michigan, field edges where you've got a 300-400 yard shot, in some cases even more, you're going to choose a caliber that's different than a guy that's out in a swamp or hunts a lot of thick brushy areas, doesn't have maybe their farthest shot's 100 yards. So that's going to really dictate a lot of things, is the areas that you hunt, and the long and short range is the biggest factor probably of that, as well as being able to bust through brush. If you're a brush hunter, if you're in the thick stuff a lot, you're going to want a nice heavy bullet that isn't going to be affected as much if it hits a twig or a small branch. And so you want to have those things thought about before you pick and select a caliber when you go to buy a rifle. Another thing to think about is the size of the deer. You know, a guy that's hunting down in the south, in Alabama, Georgia, Florida, the deer are a lot smaller down there, and you may not need as big of a cartridge or caliber as you would if you're hunting in Saskatchewan or northern Minnesota, you know, or the UP, where the deer are, you know, sometimes 250, 300 pounds or more. It's going to take a lot more bullet to bring one of those deer down. I know the couple times that I've been to Kansas, the deer are much bigger than they are up here in Michigan as far as body-wise. I mean, everything's bigger about them. Their tails are bushier, their bodies are just bigger. It's kind of strange, but that's a factor that you need to consider when you are going to choose a rifle, and I think it's an important one. As well as, like I said, open areas versus brush, long, short range. So those environmental factors are very important. The next thing I want to talk about is the factors that are based on the hunter themselves. The size and strength. If you're buying a gun for yourself or your daughter or your wife, you've got to consider the size and strength of your body or their bodies. Are they going to be able to manage the recoil? Are they going to be able to lug around a heavy gun with a bull barrel? You know, these are some things that you've got to think about and think through before you just go out and pick a gun. You don't want to get your wife, if she's 110 pounds, you don't want to go buy her a 300 mag if she's not comfortable shooting it. So that recoil, the size of the gun, the weight of the gun, all that stuff comes into play. and it's going to affect that person that's shooting, and that could affect their accuracy and their comfortability when it comes time to shoot. So that's definitely something to think about. The noise tolerance, obviously, the bigger the gun, generally the bigger the caliber, the bigger the boom. So especially if you get into having your barrels ported to reduce recoil, that they're very loud, and some people just aren't comfortable with that shocking loud noise when that gun goes off. So a smaller caliber may be better or preferential for that person. So noise is definitely something to think about. I know I really don't think about it, although I should, because I go, huh? My wife hates it. I everybody. And I think it's loud music, guns, and race cars, but regardless, hearing and the noise is definitely something to think about. So another thing when it comes to the hunter, the hunter factor is the affordability and availability of your ammunition. If you can't go to a local store and pick up your bullets when you run out, if you shoot a lot, you've got to think about that, because it's going to cost more to buy that next box of bullets. And depending on your situation, you may or may not find yourself in a bind if you can't find your bullets or can't afford your bullets. So that's definitely something to think about. Your common cartridges, your 243s and your 223s and your 30-06, 300 mag, 7mm. A lot of those are right on the shelf at most sporting goods stores. 308. So those might be a preferential cartridge for you, so that depending on where you're at, you can just go buy bullets when you need them. And especially if you're going out on a trip somewhere, we all know things happen. You lose your bag, your carry-on gets lost, or something happens if you're flying somewhere, and you get your gun, but you don't have any ammo. Now you've got to go to the local Walmart or whatever little rinky-dink sporting goods store that they have in the area, and you're trying to find your bullets. And if you're shooting a 6.5 300 Weatherby, you may not be able to find those shells out in middle of nowhere USA. So that's definitely something to think about. The availability and price, the affordability of your caliber that you're choosing. And another thing that is something to really think about is the platform that you're trying to buy, or the platform that you want, whether it's an AR platform, a bolt gun like these two here, single shot, a pump, some other sort of semi-automatic rifle. The platform is going to affect your choice, or should affect your choice. You should definitely figure out what style hunting you do, what your situations are most likely going to be, and decide on what platform you want, or need, just based on those few things. You may not need, you may want an AR, but you may not need it. Or, historically, single shot rifles are more accurate than a bolt gun or a pump. So that may affect your choice. I think that for the most part, for hunting purposes anyway, the guns that are made today, most all of them, for the whitetail range, most all guns that are made today, no matter what platform or style action that it has, they're generally going to be accurate enough with factory ammunition to go out and kill deer. So, but it still may affect your decision. It's something you definitely want to think about. Something else I want to talk about is the too small argument. This gun here is my 223 Remington. I have killed more deer with this gun than any other gun that I've ever had combined. This is a deer killing machine, and I trust it. I love it. I've caught a lot of flack about it, about killing deer with the 223, and I've never had a problem. So, but something to think about, when it comes to that, is bullet selection. I don't just shoot any old Hornady SST, a 40 grain coyote round out of this gun on deer. Your bullet when it comes to shooting a small caliber, the bullet is everything. I used to shoot a 60 grain Nosler partition out of this gun and some hand loads, and those rounds were awesome. When the ammo shortage came around, I switched to these Federal Fusions. They're a 62 grain Fusion bonded bullet, and I shot one deer last year with this, and it performed flawlessly. So the too small argument, I find it funny because a lot of the guys that are saying that stuff, they hunt with bows, they hunt with, they use the same equipment otherwise that I do, and I think it's all shot placement and bullet selection. So if you're getting your kid into hunting, or if your wife wants to hunt and you got a 223 in the closet, get a good bullet, a bonded bullet, not a fast expanding coyote round, small game round. I'm talking, a 55 to 60 grain or 62 grain bonded bullet, a partition, a Fusion, something like that. And they are deer killing machines. I have 100% confidence in this gun out to 200 yards. Anything under that, and I put it right where I want it, and the deer die every time. So don't let the naysayers about too small persuade you otherwise. If you're comfortable shooting a 223 or a 243 and it's legal for where you hunt, then shoot it. If that's all you have, or if that's what you're comfortable with, then use it, because they put the bullet where it's supposed to go and they'll die every time. So obviously, this is a 30-06 round, you can see the difference. So obviously there's a lot more powder here, there's a lot more lead, it's a lot bigger bullet, and obviously more knockdown power. I'm not saying that this isn't a small bullet, there isn't a lot of energy compared to one of these. So you have to put it where it goes, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is don't be afraid to shoot a 223, 243 on whitetails, because they kill just as good as a 30-06 or a 300 mag or any other style bullet. And as long as you put it in a place where it counts and you use a good bullet, you shouldn't have any problems. So with that, I think that there's a ton, there's a million opinions out there about rifle calibers and what's the best whitetail round and all that stuff, and we could go on for days and days and days. And honestly, from the least, I think 223 is one of the smallest calibers that you can use, at least in Michigan, on deer, and you can go up from there. But anything from 223 up to, you name it, 338 Win Mag, 375. I mean, I think those are way overkill, but just say from 223 up to 338, any caliber within that range of caliber is gonna kill deer, and they're good enough deer cartridges. So the things that make the factors that should sway your opinion on what you should get is, like I said, the areas you're hunting, if you're in brush, long range, recoil, things like that. So depending on your environmental factors and your human factors as the hunter that's going to be using the gun, that's what should dictate what you use. So saying that all the calibers are good enough to kill deer, the 5 calibers that I believe are the best whitetail rounds all around for any just general situation, that if you went to your safe and grabbed it, if you're going to sit on a field edge or in the brush, either way would be effective. I think that it starts off at the 243 Winchester, the 270 Winchester, 7mm Remington mag, the 30-06, and the 300 Win Mag. I think that those 5 calibers are well rounded. They give you options as far as if you're a a young shooter, a small shooter, short range, long range, brush, open, all the way up to your big long range gun, your 300 mag. I think that those 5 rounds cover you in almost every aspect. I think that you can pretty much go to most sporting goods stores or even Walmart's and find ammo for them. If you ran out, something happened, you lost it, I think that the ammo for those 5 calibers is readily available. And I think that all 5 of them are years over proven deer killing machines. And so I think that those are the 5 calibers that I think that are the best for whitetails. And the 6th one that is kind of my bonus, that is my personal favorite, is this gun here. I just picked this up a couple weeks ago. I'm excited to shoot it. This is a 257 Weatherby mag. This is a Vanguard Sporter from Weatherby. It's got a 3 to 9x40 loop-holed scope on it. And this gun here, I had one before. I had a Vanguard 2, the synthetic stock. I love the cartridge, just didn't care for the gun as much. I kind of wanted a more hand-me-down gun that I could, an heirloom piece that I could hand down. So this gun, this caliber, it's hard hitting. I can zero it at 100 yards and I think it drops 4 or 5 inches at 300. It might not even drop that much. It's super flat shooting. And but the downside of this caliber is that the ammo is expensive. It's pretty hard. You can't just go buy it on the shelves around here, because trust me, I've looked. So it's pretty pricey for ammo, but I'm not going to shoot it after I sight it in. I'm only going to shoot it when I'm shooting deer. So a box of shells will last me a while. So I'm really not worried about the price of ammo, but I think that there's plenty of calibers in the range that I gave earlier that you could choose from. And if you like a specific one, anything in that range is going to be awesome for deer. A friend of mine, Anthony, he's had a 260 Remington. He's used 7mm. He now hunts with a 28 Nosler. So again, the 5 calibers that I gave you earlier, the 243, the 270, the 7mm mag, the 30-06, and the 300 Win mag. Those are very good all-around cartridges that are very effective and readily available for deer. But there's a ton of calibers in between that are just awesome. And this 257 Weatherby happens to be my favorite. And so I'm looking forward to and excited to shoot it this year. Hopefully see how it does on a deer. So with that, guys, like I said, take the time to research your caliber a little bit, take in the factors that I gave you, environmentally and personally, and pick the caliber that you're most comfortable shooting, that you can should be an extension of yourself. Like I've said before, just like every other piece of your hunting equipment, shoot it, get familiar, be comfortable with it. You don't have to get the big, huge cannons that if you don't want to shoot a 300 Win mag, then don't touch one, because you have to be comfortable and know and trust your gun that it's not going to give you the old idiot mark, the old scope eye, and nobody wants that anyway. So get familiar with your stuff, guys, do some research, and pick the cartridge that's best for you and your hunting situations, or better yet, buy a few of them so you got options. That's always nice too. But with that, guys, I hope you guys got value out of this, and I hope it helps you guys decide, or helps you if you're on the fence about a caliber or whatnot. But if you like this video, check out our other videos. Check us out on Facebook. We've got the Big Buckshot Facebook group. It's getting bigger. There's a lot of good information there. So if you guys got value, hit like, subscribe, share this video with some friends, and we'll see you guys all in the next video. What is the best caliber for